Hi, folks. My name is DMITRI LEONOV. I am the Los Angeles chapter leader for Transformative Technologies. I'm also an entrepreneur and founder of Telepatch, which is a wearable device that speeds up the communication between your central nervous system and the rest of your body, which leads to all sorts of really interesting benefits. So today I'm going to talk to you about transformative technologies and the state of the space, what it's all about, why we're doing this, and how you can get involved if you'd like. So Transformative Technologies is a global community of entrepreneurs and innovators focused on using technology for human thriving, so leveraging technology for human thriving and well-being. One of the ways to look at it is, so we sit right at the intersection of kind of emotional well-being, mental well-being, and human thriving, and new exponential technologies. So this is the space we're in. So I'm going to share just a couple of slides that would help us, and then we can talk about it some more. All right. So our mission at Transformative Tech is to help 1 billion people permanently shift to a state of well-being by 2030. So we have a little bit less than 10 years. And it's a big mission, certainly, but we also believe that right now we really are at an amazing time in history where the need for this technology and the need for us to come together and focus on this is so great, just because everything is in turmoil. And at the same time, we also have the tools. We have everything we need to make that happen. And so we'll talk about that a little bit more. One of the ways that, so I mentioned technology is about mental and emotional well-being. So why do we focus on those, at that level? Why do we focus on emotional well-being and kind of the inner wellness, right? So, of course, all of you know the Maslow pyramid, and it's a littler known fact that up until the well-known kind of levels of the pyramid and at self-actualization, and towards the end of his life, Maslow kind of discovered a whole other level, which is self-transcendence, and unfortunately, he didn't have the opportunity to kind of to popularize it as much as the other levels, but this is a really important piece. And so while most companies and nonprofit organizations throughout history have been focused on the bottom two layers, right, so traditional technology, and really just most of society has been focused on physiological needs and safety and security. And we focus on the upper levels, the upper four, right? And why do we do this? There is now a lot of evidence that success doesn't lead to happiness, but there is again, overwhelming evidence that happiness does lead to success, right? So people who are happy, aligned with their purpose, and just have a mission, do better at everything else, right? So it kind of trickles down the pyramid in a sense. And so once we address the top of the pyramid, it makes everything else easier. This is what the research has been showing. So this is what we have been focused on. And so the technologies that we cover as part of Transformative Tech really sit somewhere in here, in these four levels. So we'll talk about it a little bit more. So this is the kind of thing that transformative technology addresses, but let's talk about technology itself. So technology, one of the definitions of it is anything that was once, technology is something that was once thought of by a human. That's a really good definition, but for our purpose within transformative tech, we define technology as something with electricity. So some form of electricity, whether it's a battery or plugged in cord, has to be involved somewhere in the process. So yoga can be viewed as a technology for transformation and wellness, but for our definition, it's not a technology, but a service that streams yoga classes anywhere in the world is a transformative technology. And so technology, the way we look at it, is something that makes something scarce abundant. And so by leveraging these exponential technologies, we're able to just do incredible things with reaching more people and helping more people, 1 billion people, get to that state faster, and definitely by 2030. So there are several or 3 pillars for transformative technologies. The first one is body and physical wellness. The second one is mental and emotional wellness. And then the last one is work and life. And as you can see, there's a lot of, and this is just a subset of the companies in the space, but this is kind of how we've been viewing this general space. And it's a really interesting, it's a 3x3 matrix. Certainly there's some overlap between these, but this is a really good way of looking at this. Now, there's been a lot of activity in our space. What's happened is this last year with COVID, while all of the world was in turmoil and a lot of the industries suffered tremendously, the wellness space actually exploded. And so what happened is it kind of accelerated the adoption for so many of these technologies much faster, up 2 to 3 years ahead of where it would have been. And so that's a really exciting time for us to be in the space, again, because it's so needed, especially now, and especially as we look at the mental health crisis and emotional health crisis, for instance, and the suicide rates that have been going up over this last year. So the need is there. The tools, as we're seeing here, are also there. I mean, we have so many new technologies that were invented recently that make all of this so much easier. And so essentially the categories for the body and physical wellness, we have the food and nutrition technology, we have the fitness technology, which has been growing for quite some time, and then certainly the personal care, the personal wellness. My personal kind of passion is around the mental and emotional health, because that's a space I've been personally involved with for a long time. 10 or so years ago, it would be, meditation was nowhere where it was today. And I remember when I first heard of Headspace, it was kind of, I tried Headspace. It was very, not shocking, but it was definitely surprising to see that something like that could be mainstream. And now we're seeing that space just completely blow up. And there's been a lot of financing, a lot of M&A activity in that space. So the second one category here is therapeutics. So this is kind of really geared at helping people who are struggling more than everyone else. And then there's, within mental wellness, there's so much other content and apps and just technologies that are super interesting. Now, workspace and life. This is again, this category kind of is in a bit a cross section, but it's been becoming more and more important. So corporate wellness has been a category that's been really growing as well. Even before COVID, has been really important as companies have been realizing how important mental wellness is, and that their bottom line will suffer if their employees aren't happy. And certainly with COVID, there's a lot of kind of changes and more companies operating remotely. So there's a lot of movement in that space. Then we have the life and community wellness and the physical world wellness, which is a really interesting space. And within that, there's also a newly kind of forming category of smart, conscious cars and conscious spaces. So it's not just smart spaces and smart cars, which are smart for whom, but conscious is the kind of this element that we're adding to it, which isn't just the smart or Internet of Things just for the sake of Internet of Things, but it's actually, the goal again is to make people happy and to make us thrive and feel well. So within, as you can see, there's a lot more a lot of companies in the space, a lot of companies doing really, really, really exciting stuff. And then I mentioned some of the new spaces that are emerging. So we have the wise spaces and bars. We have new technologies that allow people to, for example, people who with hearing problems can now hear through vibration, for instance, right? So we are expanding the senses. The digital intimacy is a really interesting space as well. And this is one example is a set of two rings, which the couple can wear, and essentially they can feel each other's heartbeats, right? And so if we go back to the Maslow pyramid really quick, love and belonging is a category that really hasn't been thought of by the private sector for a while. And so it's really exciting to see a lot of innovation in the love and kind of community category. And then, so finally, the transcendence, the self-transcendence space is a really interesting one, because those of us who have been meditating for a long time, or have had kind of transformative experiences like something that can be achieved by sitting in a cave for 20 years, now can be achieved through technology. Yeah, so there are a lot of really interesting technology developments around kind of making that state of awakening or enlightenment or nirvana much easier. So there's ultrasound technology, for instance, that can when it's applied to a certain part of on your spine, on your brain, it literally stimulates, it changes the brain waves to the state of nirvana, essentially. And certainly a lot of the again, my personal favorites are technologies that have to do with vibration, with light, sound, and physical vibration, because as we all know, everything vibrates. All of us are, in a sense, vibrating particles or waves of light. And when we apply certain modalities, again, such as light therapy, which is a very well-researched form of medicine, or there's vibration therapy, for instance, and there's a really interesting device called Apollo, which is a wearable that you can wear on your wrist or on your ankle, and it just physically vibrates. Then there's plenty of vibrating massage tables or other devices that really kind of combine, that stimulate all the senses from, again, sound, light, vibration, and can kind of shift our actual emotional state, and they can shift our brain waves. They can shift our well-being as well. And so I kind of viewed those tools as almost a shortcut, as a really, really beautiful hack to make everything easier. And again, it's really important because all of this well-being is happening at this time when everything is converging, and when we have more and more pollution than ever before. Now we have the EMF radiation that's affecting everything. So it's really, really important for us in our space to focus on bringing ourselves individually and as a society into balance. And so one of the things that's really interesting, and that's kind of common among most of these transformative technologies, is they're disruptive in the sense that they're changing the world, but they're not disruptive to our bodies. Most of them, if not all of them, the purpose of anything that we do in transformative tech is to kind of bring our bodies, bring our mental state, our emotional state, our physical state, our spaces, living spaces, workspaces, cars, all of this into balance, into a state of balance and well-being, and really very differently from, let's say, pharma industry or some of the industries out there. Everything we do is really aimed at bringing us into balance. Thank you very much for your time, and you can any questions, feel free to email me here. And if you would like to get involved with Transformative Tech, this is our website, transformativetech.org. Sign up. We have a mailing list. We have a community. We have events just about every week. We have regular, really fascinating events with really interesting people, and we would love to have you join us. Thank you.